Hey everybody, this is the Old Goat, and this is the extended cut of my video called In the Vortex, which was when I was down in Ocala, Florida at the Santos Trail System created by the Ocala Mountain Bike Association. It's where they had the 12 Hours of Santos race a couple of weeks ago. I went down with my friend Bart Wellesley, who raced in the race. He did the 6-hour solo category. And here we are, I'm just riding through the field where we were parked. It was not a formal campground, it was just a large field that filled up in a matter of hours with the campers for the race. And they just had a few porta potties, which fortunately I was able to avoid having to use too many times because they got bad quickly. Fortunately, I had some lucky timing with my visits to restaurants and other areas that had good bathrooms to use. Now here I am, I'm going into the trail system. I think this trail is actually called the Red Trail, and according to Bart and people familiar with the system, several of the trails, the Red Trail and the Vortex, they had the racers going backwards from the normal flow, which did not make everyone happy. So as I was not familiar with it, I didn't know what to think about it. So I go into the woods here. This is actually my second trip on this section. The first time the video camera wasn't working, which is unfortunate, as I fell about 5 or 6 times in the first half mile because I had just put the cleats on some new biking shoes, and there were 2 options for how to install the cleats, and the option I chose gives you more float with the shoes, which medically is supposed to be better for your knees or ankles, but it makes it harder to get out of the clips. So my old shoes had the cleats installed the traditional way, and so I fell over a lot. But don't worry, I'm sure I'll still have a few spills here and there as in going up this hill and have to get off and push to the top. Now this section of the trail, in the trail they call the Vortex, I was really surprised because my idea of Florida riding is that everything is flat, even though I had seen some videos that have, little short climbs and then steep descents. So I guess OMBA, the Ocala Mountain Bike Association, when they built these trails, they found the hilly sections and they made the most of it. So from some of this footage, you would not know that you were down in the middle part of Florida. Now this first section of the trail was very technical, but a lot of the other trails were very flowy and smooth and flatter, and I really enjoyed riding those. Supposedly there are about 70 to 80 miles of trails in the network down there, so I look forward to going down there again and again to ride. Of course, it was early February when I went, and we've had kind of a cold, wet couple of weeks in North Carolina. We've had several big snows, and so between the snow and then the freezing and melting, our trails are pretty messy, or at least they had been at the time. So it was nice to go down to Florida where it was upper 70 degrees and the trails were all dry. And that was a big rock garden I just went over where I actually shot some footage of the racers on Saturday from the other direction. So it was pretty intimidating looking. That's why I ended up stopping on it, and I can't remember how I walked or slowly rolled down the other side of that rock there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one too, it's was another pretty intimidating section that shows up on my race video. I guess they had those bricks filled in there between the rocks to help people get across. When I was shooting video there though, most people seem to be having to push across that. Okay, here coming out of the woods back near the main race area, you can see the porta potties there, and probably hear the announcers in the background. Now this is called the banana hammock. I sort of didn't realize I was coming up on that end. It's a big steep drop. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to ride down straight. And here I wasn't sure where to go to stay on the trail, so I came out, and then here I am going back in just above the banana hammock to get back on the trail. And this is on the section of the trail that they call the Vortex. And there he goes down. Believe it or not, I finally took the reflector off my handlebar and off the wheels, so I'm a little less nerdy than I have been for the last, however many, 3 or 4 years since I've had my Trek Fuel EX7. It just never occurs to me to take the reflectors off, except when I'm out on the trail, and then I get home and I forget about it. This section on the right, I don't know if that was like an old quarry, but it's a real pit there. And this section was, I think they actually cut this section out for the race because they were worried about people falling off the side here, especially when they're racing after dark. Might not be good. And as I said, it was a 12-hour race. It started at 10 a.m. and went to 10 p.m. So for the last 4 hours or so, people were riding with lights in the dark. Now, in addition to the trails here, they have a lot of skills areas and pump tracks and jumps built around. This is not the best view of them, but that was a couple that I'm riding by here. Beautiful scenery only available in the extended edition. Now, many times I'm going slowly because I am just trying to stay on the course and make sure I go the right direction. And then the rest of the time it's just because I'm slow. Yeah, look at these jumps here on the right. Wow. Really put a lot of work into these. of nice wooden features and berms and skinnies on the trail. I ended up riding most of them. They looked a little intimidating, but usually easier. Like, here we go, this wooden berm here. Just keep going and stay in the middle, and it's no problem at all to ride.
Hey, come on, come on.
It's nice to let the faster
Come on.
riders through.
Hey.
AKA everyone.
Sorry, come on.
I'm all right.
Come on, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Of course, I was assuming that most of the other riders on the trail were racers who were practicing for the race the next day, so I really did not want to interfere with their ride. I see this footage, a lot of it probably seems very wobbly in comparison to many of the biking videos on YouTube, because a lot of the videos are shot with a gimbal, which keeps the footage very smooth, and I've been resistant to getting one of those, not just because of the expense, but because of just it'd be one more thing to have to put on and keep up with and charge, and it looks it seems a little cumbersome the way you wear them, and they stick out from the chest with the camera. And so I prefer just the regular GoPro, or at least that's what I have been using up until now. I think footage like this really gives you a little more realistic view of what trails are like and what mountain biking is like. Really one of the nicest trails I've ever hiked with my bike.
Oh, shit. Was not ready for that drop.
when I first rode the trail, there was a section where you had to turn off to go into the Vortex trail, which I missed. And so I actually beat my friend Bart back to our campsite. And it turned out I had been about 5.9 miles. I think the full course, including the Vortex, was 7.8 miles. So I went back and made sure I did not miss the turnoff the second time. And the last section of the trail, which is called Twister, that was a lot of fun, relatively easy, representative of what a lot of the trails are like down there. So if you're thinking about going, don't be intimidating just by the Vortex here. That is definitely probably the most popular section, but it is the exception. Yeah, I can see how this would be a lot easier to ride in the other direction. Getting up this can be hard. Coming down would be a lot easier.
Ride her down.
Oh, and there he goes again.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm good. All right.
Big rocks there.
Yeah, I'm good.
Land on them.
Yeah. See what I'm wearing on my knees?
Yeah.
Love my bicycle.
How you doing?
And I recently upgraded
Where's
and
the beer?
added the dropper seat post
It's at the
to
end.
my bike, and I've really been took a little getting used to at first, but I've really become addicted to it. I think I use the adjust my seat height more often than I change gears now. It's nice just to be able to raise it up high when you're climbing a hill to get that most power out of your stroke, and then when you're going down, or when you have some tight twisty section, you can drop the seat and really get the best handling.
Old goat walking.
Looks like I need an e-bike from the side of me climbing up all these hills, or walking up all these hills. Apparently the e-bikes are getting quite popular, and when I do get tired, or when I'm going up long climbs, I think maybe that is the way to go. But there's another part of me that thinks that feels like cheating, and I tell myself, oh, if I keep working and working out and losing weight, eating right, eventually I'll be able to keep up with everybody else and climb these hills. Those e-bikes are about $4,500 also.
Expert only. What am I men on?
So yeah, that was actually marked as a double black diamond trail. I didn't really think it was that hard. I mean, there were a couple of features on there which were a little intimidating, and I walked over, and there were some climbs, but mainly I'm out of shape. So I'm getting better though. I've been getting better for 6 months, or 25 years. get better, get worse. But I've been on a health kick for 6 months, exercising and biking and losing weight. And as I'm recording this, I'm happy to say I weighed this morning at 199.5 pounds. The first time I've been under 200 pounds since, I don't know, probably
Help me, Lord.
5 years. I was 246 when I started this 6 months ago, or early August, and it's now early March.
Thank you, Lord.
7 months. So I'm 6'2",
Thank you, Lord.
weigh 200 pounds, and I don't know exactly what my optimal weight would be, so I'm not going to try to obsess about reaching a certain number. $180, $185 would probably be nice. I don't think, I think 175 would be the minimum I would hope to be. But like I say, I'm just going to try to keep eating healthy and keep active and exercising. And hopefully I'll reach a good happy medium large. If you look at the pro cyclists, it seems like almost all of the pros are not excessively tall people. Most of them probably 5'6", 5'8", whether that be in road cycling or mountain biking. Now there was a Tour de France winner, Miguel Indurain. He was over 6'2". He was a big guy, big Mig, but he was really the exception to the rule.
Ride with a goat.
See, I still have my old cat-eye computer. It's a wired
The
computer.
ancient goat.
And a lot of times I'll use like a GPS app, like Ride with GPS, or my Fitbit app to track my rides. But I still find that something on the bike, whether wired or wireless with a wheel sensor, does the best. Okay, now this big berm here, I wish I had ridden that. That was so beautiful, but I was still kind of new to riding this. But if I ever go back there, I'm going to fly down that hill and go around that berm. Speed really is your friend when you're riding mountain bike, especially once you're familiar with the trail. And that was the thing. I was still new to this and just watching where I was going and trying not to get killed while I was 3 states from home.
Am I going the wrong way?
Oh, you're fine. No, we're just doing this again.
Another little skinny. I should have ridden that too. I can ride those. They can be a little intimidating, but I don't believe I've ever fallen off one.
All right. Hey.
This is a nice young kid. I had spoken with him earlier. He was from Asheville, North Carolina, and he used to live down here in Florida, and it wasn't until he moved to Asheville that he bought a mountain bike and started biking. And now he'd come back down for the race. Okay, I think that is where the Vortex trail ends, and here I am back on what they call the twister. Well, maybe not. I'm pushing up this hill. I think once I got off the Vortex, the pushing was all behind me. I miss these dry trails. It's March 6th and I'm back in North Carolina, of course, and it has not been as wet here. It did dry out, but then we have had some rain too. I went with the NICA youth group last Thursday and practiced, and my bike was just so muddy by the time I got done I had to wash it. But then I rode Sunday 2 days ago, and it was not bad. It must have been a week before when I rode and it got so muddy. Come on, old man, get up that hill.
The rider awoke before dawn. He put his sleep mask on. Took some earplugs from the ancient medicine cabinet. And he went on back to bed.
Little homage to Jim Morrison of the Doors. The End. I don't know why that was running through my mind. So. Yeah, this must still be on the Vortex trail.
Oh. It's pretty mellow from here on out.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, okay, this is getting to the end of the Vortex trail. Well, there's those guys again. Now I'm on Twister. And there was at one point on Twister when the battery of my GoPro actually died, and I didn't realize it, so I guess fortunately don't have the entire ride Missed a few minutes of it. Did have a couple extra batteries, so swapped it out and caught the last part of the ride. As you can see, it's pretty flat, and for the most part, it's a nice place to ride. I could ride trails like this all day.
Represent. The herd. Oh.
Parking lot is this way, right?
Yes. Be careful though.
I told him to be careful because the race course, as it was said, it was only one direction, and he was going obviously the opposite direction. Of course, normally mountain bikers are used to watching for people coming from the other direction, but there are a few trails out there which are one way. There's a trail system at Lake Norman State Park near Statesville, North Carolina, and what they do, they reverse the trails every year. So on even years it'll be clockwise, and then odd years it'll be counterclockwise. Only 16 more minutes left, folks. So sorry. Oh, here we go. They have one of those, well, a similar feature at a trail near here. They call it a caterpillar. It's more like a sine wave than that one. So I skipped that one and then rode the rest of this. These were actually really fun. They were kind of new to me. I'd never seen so many of these wooden berms and whatever else they're called, jumps and bumps. Again,
Hope I'm
hats
getting
off
this
to
on film
OMBA,
this time.
the Ocala Mountain Biking Association.
I rode this lap earlier. Got nothing. Nothing recorded all day.
Yeah, the first time I rode this, somehow my GoPro was not recording. I thought it was, which was kind of a bummer. It looks like my lens has gotten a little bit foggy here. Probably maybe sweat. So. I'm afraid the rest of the video is going to have less than the optimal picture quality. If you fast forward ahead, I will forgive you. But you might miss some more singing.
running my new tires. They're a little bit wider and they're tubeless, so I've had good traction.
So I have been happy with my tubeless tires. I've had them
Supposedly a
I guess
little
about a
lighter
month
with the
now,
tubeless
and I
also.
don't think I've lost any
Always
air at
good.
all.
Love my 29er. Let's not start ripping knobs off the first day.
I say tubeless tires are just a little bit lighter. I don't know that I can tell, but you can run lower pressure, so I'm still running about 30, 32 pounds. But I might experiment with some lower pressure just to see how it affects the traction and the grip. If you get the pressure too low, you can just you not necessarily get a hole in your tire, but it's called burping, or if you hit something hard, it'll break the bead, and you can have a flat that way. You just have to reseal the tire. I'm more interested in no flats than having the maximum traction.
That double black diamond wore me out. All that walking.
Twister's probably a beginner or intermediate trail at most. Looking at this video, it seems a little bit spooky. The undergrowth is just different from what I'm used to seeing here in North Carolina. It's almost like being in a swamp or something.
Bold.
I heard they had some really big spiders down here, but fortunately I did not notice any. The spider is featured prominently in the graphics of the Omba artwork t-shirts. I brought a couple of t-shirts back, and one has this big spider on the front and the back.
You know that Brian Kennedy, that BKXC YouTube channel that is so popular? He has his Patreons, and you can go on there and you can see like extended cuts. I think for me it'd be more appropriate. People might pay for the shortened cuts, the just the highlight reels, so they don't have to sit through these boring, wrong way, boring rides. Now he's riding that course, and I think that's the way this course normally rides, but they've reversed it for
Must be where the battery died. And
dizzy.
took a little break and swapped out the battery.
Something smells nice. Ride with the gold, the ancient gold. He's old and he's not so bold. The rider awoke before dawn. He put his sleep mask on. He took some earplugs from the ancient medicine cabinet. And he went on back to bed. Thank you very much.
Almost to the end.
Ride with the gold, the ancient gold.
Now, the day of the race, I actually volunteered down here as a crossing guard to sort of direct traffic and
We have a
help
new
the
arrival.
riders, the racers, safely get across the road here.
Home sweet home.
And here's where the race goes, right past my campsite. Just
Bah.
yeah, that pop up in that tent.
I did.
For
You're right, I
hours.
missed Vortex the first time. I would have remembered that.
Okay, folks, that's all. Thanks for watching.